What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some battles in the Open Greatly submitted to the channel by MaxiPad, who I've showcased a fair few times on the channel previously. They're always coming up with exciting and creative teams, but usually has to sacrifice a little bit of elo to get enough wins for the video. However, this is a team they've used to climb over 150 elo at the time of submitting, but it's still a very hard-hitting and fun team to play, and it's certainly going to be a fun watch with triple shadows, including Typhlosion, Venusaur, and Electivire. So with that being said, let's just get straight into the question of the day. Which currently unreleased shadow Pokemon are you most looking forward to using in the future? Now, this does not have to be any of the confirmed shadow Pokemon that will be releasing with the up-and-coming shadow event next week. This can be any Pokemon that does not have a shadow variant in the game right now. Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Let's go into the first battle, leading Shadow Typhlosion into a Shadow Drifloon. So I imagine this is a positive matchup for us since we are running Thunder Punch. Of course, Thunder Punch did get a buff this season, as well as Ice Punch on the Electivire. The opponent's going to Sage Swap, looking to possibly try and catch the Thunder Punch there, but we overfarm. We still go for a Thunder Punch. Thunder Punch is shielded, ends up being a CMP tie somehow, but we are going to shield up the Aquatail, overfarm here, and we end up lagging somehow. It looks like we're trying to catch the Aquatail onto our Venusaur there, but the opponent gets off 3 poison stings, and we're still not able to swap out or throw a charge move. That is really unfortunate. Shadow Typhlosion going down with so much loaded energy. At this point, we're going to come in with the Venusaur. The opponent swaps back into Drifloon, but Shadow on Shadow. Frenzy Plant is going to get the KO despite being resisted, and they've got a Dugong in the back, so there is still a chance for us to win this game. We are, of course, going to shield this up. They're probably going to bait with an Icy Wind. However, Shadow Electivire is incredibly glassy. We probably would not be able to tank that pretty comfortably anyways, but we're going to fire off the Wild Charge. Wild Charge is going to be shielded. We go for 2 Thunder Shocks here, then fire off the next Wild Charge. This is a very smart play because, of course, we're going to debuff our defense. We know we're taking the damage from that Ice Shard anyways, and because we overfarm by 1 extra Thunder Shock than what you typically throw on good timing, we're able to pace to the Ice Punch, getting the KO up against the Drapion, and despite lagging and losing all of the energy on that Typhlosion, we're able to recover and win that game. But into the next battle, we're going to see a Feraligatr in the lead. We've got 2 Pokemon that do, of course, have better matchups, so we swap into our Venusaur, baiting out a Clodsire, and we're actually going to shield the first charge move. I personally would have thrown slightly sooner here, but either way, I'm going to fire off the Frenzy Plant. Frenzy Plant is going to be shielded by the Clodsire, and we're going to throw the next Frenzy Plant on the CMP tie. So this is very good timing here. We are going to see Frenzy Plant is going to be no shielded this time around. We should actually live a Sludge Bomb, so we're going to no shield this. The opponent does go for the Sludge Bomb. We're now going to swap back into our Typhlosion. The opponent responds with a Primeape, and we're able to make it to the Thunder Punch before they throw. So Thunder Punch is going to grab the final shield from the opponent, and the opponent is going to overfarm considerably here. We are going to no shield this as the opponent fires off a Rage Fist, and Rage Fist actually doesn't quite take us out there. I think we were expecting to get KO'd there, so instead we don't throw a charge move, but we will actually be able to come in with our Electivire and get a very nice Thunder Shock farm down. So maybe it works out better for us because, of course, if we did throw a charge move there, Typhlosion was just going to give free energy away. But again, it looks like we lagged there. We were like out of sync by 1 turn, but we predict the opponent swaps back into Feraligatr, so we fire off the Wild Charge, we get the 1-shot, and Venusaur just barely hanging on, making it to the Frenzy Plant. And again, despite lagging, we're able to get the KO with the Frenzy Plant, taking out the Clodsire, and we're able to take that game. So MaxiPad's recovery stats are absolutely maxed out right now. Insane gameplay so far. Into the next battle, we're going to see a Primeape in the lead. So we've seen this already now. We know that we can live a Rage Fist. The opponent's going to swap into a Marowak. Not really great for us. And actually, we have to go for the Thunder Punch here. Thunder Punch is going to be, of course, neutral damage. Blast Bone would still do more damage here, but we can make it to back-to-back Thunder Punches. Thunder Punch number 2 is going to be no shielded. And now we're going to swap into our Shadow Electivire. Now, at this point, I don't think an Ice Punch would quite get the KO as it is resisted. So I personally would just double shield and overfarm like we're doing here. Really like this play so far. We are going to see a Bone Club coming through once again. I'm going to farm up 2 back-to-back Ice Punches before throwing the charge move. So first Ice Punch is going to be no shielded by the opponent. They're now going to come in with their Primeape again, and we're going to fire off another Ice Punch just before the opponent makes it to Rage Fist number 2. Ice Punch gets the KO there. They come in with a Toxapex, and honestly, this is not looking too good for us, but we bank the Wild Charge. We come in with our Shadow Venusaur. If we grab a shield here, which we shouldn't really grab the shield there, they should surely know that we've got a Wild Charge on the Electivire, but that's going to be game over now. The opponent fires off a Gong Shot there. We can come in with the Electivire. We go for 1 extra Thunder Shock first, just in case, for whatever reason, Wild Charge doesn't get the 1-shot, but of course it does. It takes out the Toxapex, and we're able to take that game. But of course, going for the Thundershock first makes sense because if we fire off the Wild Charge, we debuff our defense, and potentially we could, you know, if we left them into range where maybe 2 Thundershocks would get the KO there, we could go down to the Poison Jab damage. But either way, into the next battle, and we're going to see us swapping into Venusaur. The opponent comes in with Clefable, which is absolutely fine with us. Obviously, Clefable not going to be very good up against the Typhlosion either, but we are a Poison type. We do resist the Moonblast damage, which they sent there for some reason. So at this point, we're going to no-shield this, and the opponent is actually running Meteor Mash, so that takes us off guard there. Maybe a pretty smart play by the opponent there if they're thinking, oh, if we go for the Moonblast first and we show that we don't have a great move to throw, maybe they'll no-shield the next charge move and we can flip switch advantage, and that's exactly what happened there. But either way, we go for the Blast Burn, dealing huge damage, and it looks like this is going to be prime time for Shadow Electivire to sweep in the end game. Of course, shielding up the drill run, going for the Thundershock farm down, getting that farm down. They come back in with for Alligator. We don't really need to overfarm by much. We fire off the Wild Charge, easily getting the one shot there, and of course we can commit to another Wild Charge up against Clefable coming back in. You can see Electivire is already celebrating on screen right now, throwing his hands up in the air. We get the KO and we're able to take that game. Into the next battle, we can see a Malamar in the lead, so we're going to stay in this matchup here. This is a fairly neutral matchup. Of course, you know, we're not going to throw a Thunder Punch straight away as it will not get the KO, but by the time we do farm up 2 back-to-back Thunder Punches here, honestly, this might take out this Malamar. So the opponent no shields, it does get the KO, but they come in with a Carbink, so this is a little bit awkward for us. I kind of agree with this, just staying in, fire off the Blast Burn. That way we can align our Venusaur to the Carbink, because if we swap out into our Electivire, for example, because we don't want to swap into our Hard Answer, it's just not a great matchup for the Electivire. Despite, of course, being able to deal a big damage with the Thundershocks and the Wild Charges, it's just not that great. So here we are going to shield. The opponent actually goes for a Moonblast there, which is a really strange play. I don't know if they're fishing for a possible attack debuff, but either way, it doesn't work out for them. We can go for a Frenzy Plant, get the KO there, and we're going to see a Shadow Ferrothorn in the back. So actually, maybe preserving that Typhlosion would have been the play, but in hindsight, it's very easy to say now. But yeah, it's not looking too good for us right now, as the opponent does actually use their shield there. It doesn't really matter. They go for a Mirror Shot there, which is not really ideal for us. We can now go for an Ice Punch. Unfortunately, Ice Punch will be nowhere near enough damage to get the KO, as it's just neutral damage up against the Shadow Ferrothorn. The opponent makes it to a Power Whip. Power Whip easily gets the KO there. And 2 more Bullet Seeds takes out the Shadow Venusaur. And unfortunately, we do lose that game. But into the next battle, we're going to see Azumarill in the lead. So once again, going to say swap into our Shadow Venusaur, and we're met with a Diggersby. Now again, we're not going to throw straight away here. And actually, this might be a matchup where Fire Punch dealing slightly more damage might flip this in the 2-shield scenario. As I'm looking at the damage we're taking from quick attacks, I'm not confident that we can live all the quick attack damage and actually make it to a 3rd Frenzy Plant. So this is really not ideal for us. We're going to shield up the next Fire Punch there. And yeah, it's not looking good for us. We can fire off the Frenzy Plant, but I don't think we're making it to that 3rd Frenzy Plant. Frenzy Plant is going to be shielded, and they do unfortunately get the farm down. And what's worse is they come out with a decent amount of energy. We're going to shield, of course, as the opponent is going to go and full send the Scorching Sands there. We're now going to go for a Thunder Punch. Surely Thunder Punch will be enough damage to get the KO, but we actually undercharge that intentionally so we can get a snipe with the Thunder Shock of our Shadow Electivire, and that ends up being a great play as the opponent comes back in with Azumarill. So clearly double weak to the Electivire. Wild Charge gets the one shot there, and they have a second Pokemon weak to the electric typing and ice typing as well, I guess. But of course, Wild Charge will easily get the one shot up against the Shadow Drifblim, and we're able to take that game. So honestly, that was a brilliant undercharge there with that Thunder Punch up against the Diggersby. Into the next battle, another Azumarill in the lead. So we're going to say swap into our Shadow Venusaur. Unfortunately met with an Altaria, and this team in general not going to be great up against Altaria. However, Ice Punch on our Shadow Electivire would do absolutely monstrous damage in this matchup. Here we actually don't commit to the Sludge Bomb this time. I'm not so sure about that, but we do end up grabbing the shield anyways. I don't think we're making it to another charge move anyway, so yeah, I don't think that was really worth taking the risk there. But either way, we are going to see the opponent fires off the Sky Attack. We are actually just going to fully sacrifice the Typhlosion. We're still going to make it to a Thunder Punch, which is fine. Thunder Punch is going to be double shielded by the Altaria, so we're now going to swap back into our Electivire. No point staying in there. I don't think we even live enough damage to get off a single Incinerate before they Dragon Breath farm us down. Now they come back in with the Azumarill. I think the safe play here is just to shield once, farm up to at least 99 energy before throwing a single charge move, and we're going to do exactly that. Perfect gameplay. Fire off the Wild Charge here. Wild Charge is going to take out the Azumarill. To come back in with Altaria, we throw straight away, but they actually come in with a Dunsparce, so we fire off 4 Thunder Shocks, very good timing, and then we're probably going to try and make a catch here, and we are able to make the catch, swapping into our Typhlosion, catching the Drill Run. Now we can come back in with the Electivire. I personally would farm up to back-to-back Ice Punches. I'm not so sure about this play here. Can we actually live the Dragon Breath damage and get off another Ice Punch? It turns out we can do exactly that. Just barely. Ice Punch number 2 easily takes out the Altaria, and we're able to take that game. So going into the next battle, Shadow for Alligator in the lead. So of course, going to say swap, and the opponent very quick to swap out there. I don't know if they just expected that swap or whatever, but either way, again, unfortunately, this is a matchup where Diggersby, now that Fire Punch does slightly more damage, it's actually a positive matchup for the Diggersby in, I think, all shield scenario, I guess, or at least all even shield scenarios there, apart from the 0 shield scenario, as of course, a Frenzy Plant will easily get the one shot from this range, and yeah, it's just not looking too good for us. If the opponent does want to, they can definitely fight for switch advantage here, and they probably will, as they do go for the farm down, but we actually swap back into our Typhlosion, realizing they're going to farm us down anyways, and Typhlosion, with a slight energy advantage, can at least punish that Shadow for Alligator if they choose to come back in. Now, we're actually going to go for the Blast Burn this time around. Blast Burn is easily going to get the KO there. They come in with a Shadow Primeape, and yeah, this is not really looking good for us. Hopefully the switch clock will come up by the time we come in with our Shadow Electivire, and we can potentially make a catch, because that's what we're going to need here. Of course, they've boosted up their attack. A Rage Fist probably going to get the KO, but the opponent holds onto the energy, or they might have just been committing to a close combat anyways, and unfortunately close combat easily gets the KO there, and we do end up losing that game. But into the next battle, we're going to see a Drapion in the lead, so unfortunately Aquatail going to hit for big damage here. We should be able to live 1, so we might no shield here, but no, we're going to shield up the Aquatail, go for 1 Incinerate, fire off the Thunder Punch here. Thunder Punch will not be enough damage to get the KO, but the threat of a Blast Burn will be forcing a shield from the opponent. We then wait a turn there before swapping into Venusaur, possibly looking to catch an Aquatail. Unfortunately, they don't throw straight away, but they don't throw at all, actually, because we're able to win CMP, fire off the Frenzy Plant, grab the final shield. At this point, we are just going to sacrifice the Venusaur, I assume. Let this next move go through, as the opponent will throw another charge move. They go for Aquatail, which actually doesn't get the KO, which is slightly worse for us because, of course, they save energy and then get extra farm as they do farm us down. But we're going to come back in with the Typhlosion. At this point, we kind of need that Incinerate to land, so we're going to shield this. They go for an Aquatail. 1 more Incinerate, gets the KO there. And let's see, the opponent's going to come in with their Dunsparce, and we're going to fire off a Blast Burn straight away. Now, Blast Burn is going to do huge damage, but it doesn't get the KO. And now we're going to swap. We're looking to just fully sacrifice the Electivire. I'm not so sure about that, but they go for a Rock Slide for some reason. I know, of course, Rock Slide is still super effective up against Typhlosion, but so is Drill Run. If they went for Drill Run, we lose this game. But now, because they went for Rock Slide, we can full send the Wild Charge. We actually don't even need the Thunder Punch on our Typhlosion, as we get the Thunder Shock farm down, taking out the Dunsparce, and we're able to take that game. But into the next battle, we see Clodsire in the lead. Honestly, not that bad of a matchup. These Incinerates are actually chunking. We're going to shield. They go for a Stone Edge there, but we should actually outpace them to back-to-back Blast Burns before they do reach Stone Edge number 2. So first one, it's going to be no shield. It actually doesn't KO, which is perfect for us because we can get the farm down, and they come in with a Wigglytuff. So honestly, if this is their best response to Shadow Typhlosion, we might want to look to preserve it. So we're going to come in with the Venusaur. I like this play here, banking the Blast Burn, coming in, going to fire for Frenzy Plant straight away. Frenzy Plant is going to be shielded by the opponent there, and the opponent will reach a potential Icy Wind. So at this point, probably just shield anyways, play it safe. Icy Wind is going to grab our final shield, and they've got Serperior in the back. So I'm going to fire for Sludge Bomb on the CMP type. Of course, they did just debuff our attack, so Sludge Bomb doesn't quite get the knockout there, but it doesn't really matter. It puts them into Incinerate farm down range. They fire off the Aerial Ace there, although since we have lagged a bunch of times already so far throughout these battles, we're actually going to swap there just to play it safe, bank the energy on our Typhlosion, get the Thunder Shock farm down, and the opponent just concedes the match there. But into the next battle, we're going to see a Dugong in the lead. So this is a pretty good matchup for us, since we are, of course, resisting the ice damage. They're then going to swap into a Giratina, and we don't really have a great response. So we just full send the Blast Burn there, dealing huge damage despite it being resisted. And at this point, we're going to shield. We might just be able to go for a full Incinerate farm down, which would be pretty crazy up against a Dragon-type Pokemon, but we do get that farm down. We then come out with a Thunder Punch loaded, and they come in with their own Typhlosion. But it looks like the opponent, now it's their turn to lag there, as they don't get off the Incinerate, but we then overfarm. So I guess we basically just cancelled out that that Incinerate that the opponent lost. But we're going to come in with the Venusaur. We're going to catch a resisted Thunder Punch, which is a very nice play. The opponent is then going to swap and catch a Frenzy Plant. I think if we can get the perfect undercharge here, we have a chance to win. However, Frenzy Plant does get the one shot. They can just Incinerate, farm us down, and they're too far ahead on energy now, unfortunately. They can fire off a charge move. Thunder Punch will not get the KO, but one more Incinerate does the job, and unfortunately, we do lose that game. Bit of a strange game there, but into the next battle, we can see a Drapion in the lead once again. So again, we are going to overfarm in this matchup here, and the opponent is going to throw after 7. So very good timing. We're actually going to no-shield this. Arcatel doesn't quite take us out there, so we definitely should be firing off the Blast Burn as we're only getting off one charge move. However, we grab a shield anyway, so it's not the worst thing. We're now going to come in with our Venusaur. No-shield the first charge move, as the opponent is going to go for a crunch there, and now they're going to swap into a Shadow for Alligator. But unfortunately, when we came in with the Venusaur, we did stutter there, so unfortunately did not get an extra Vine Whip through. That allows the Feraligatr to pace to the charge move at the same pacing as our Venusaur, and as a result we have to use a shield. The opponent fully sacrifices the Feraligatr there, which makes sense as they did just grab a shield from that matchup. We're now going to come in with the Electivire, and this is looking very tricky for us. However, if the opponent tries to be smart and make a catch or something, we could still be in here. So we're going to fire off the Ice Punch. Ice Punch is actually not going to get the KO, so we get one extra Thunder Shock through. Could this be the difference here? We're farming up to back-to-back Ice Punches, but we've actually also got the energy, if we're smart, to go for a Wild Charge, which we do. We throw on CMP, winning CMP, and of course, Wild Charge easily takes out the Sableye, and we're able to take that game. So going into the next battle, we can see a Typhlosion into a Alolan Raticate. So this is a pretty neutral matchup here. We are going to get our pace to the first charge move as we commit. Well, we want to at least farm up to a Blast Burn before potentially baiting with a Thunder Punch. Honestly, I would probably just full send the Blast Burn here, but either way, we're going for a Thunder Punch. Thunder Punch is going to be no-shielded by the opponent, and then we try and swap and make a catch, but unfortunately, the opponent already had another charge move, so we're using both our shields on our Shadow Typhlosion. We get the Incinerate farm down here, and they come in with a Kanto Marowak, but luckily for us, we will live the 2 Mud Slaps there, so we can get off both Blast Burns and possibly grab both shields straight away. So honestly, not the worst thing ever, as Blast Burn number 2 is going to grab that final shield. We can come in with the Venusaur. The opponent is going to fire off a Bone Club straight away. Bone Club is neutral damage. It does some decent damage there. The opponent is then going to swap, make a catch onto Tentacruel there. Very nice catch, as a Frenzy Plant is not going to get the KO, but we can come in with the Shadow Electivire, and we are going to overfarm just slightly. Fire off an Ice Punch here. Ice Punch is going to, of course, get the KO, and then if they come back in and don't throw a charge move straight away, actually, I don't think they have the energy for it anyways, but Ice Punch number 2 gets the KO from that range, and we're able to take that game. So going into the next battle, we can see a Malamar in the lead. So again, fairly neutral matchup here. Not going to throw a Thunder Punch straight away. The opponent actually swaps into Feraligatr. So if we wanted to, we could have stayed in and fired off a Thunder Punch before swapping out, but probably would have grabbed a shield. Not really done too much damage with the Incinerate, so makes sense to come in with the Venusaur. The opponent will make back-to-back charge moves. However, it is just another Hydro Cannon, which we do tank, but unfortunately just barely not coming out with 2 Frenzy Plants loaded. So we can fire off the first one, probably going to grab a shield back from the opponent. However, we will not reach the second Frenzy Plant, but we do give the opponent minimal energy as they do farm us down there. At this point, we are going to shield the Typhlosion as they fire off a superpower before swapping into a Diggersby. Now, honestly, this is not looking too good for us here. We're going to fire off the Blast Burn. Blast Burn is going to do big damage. It's actually a CMP tie, so clearly just going for a Fire Punch here. Fire Punch will not be enough damage to get the KO. We can fire off another Blast Burn. Honestly, we should probably undercharge this, as the opponent is going to look to just fully sacrifice the Diggersby, saving their shield for the Malamar, and unfortunately, there's just not a lot Electivire can do in this matchup here. We can fire off an Ice Punch. Ice Punch will grab that final shield, but they can throw a charge move here, and of course, anything they throw, Foul Play will get the KO there, and they can just commit to a full sideway farm down, taking out Typhlosion, and unfortunately, we do lose that game. But into the next battle, we can see a Tropius in the lead. The opponent safe swaps into Licky Licky, so we're going to respond with our Venusaur, and we are going to look to shield at the last second. It is a Shadow Ball, which would do a fair amount of damage. We're now going to fire off a Frenzy Plant here. Frenzy Plant probably also going to be shielded by the opponent, and the opponent does respect the damage there. They do just barely outpace us to the next charge move. The opponent is going to go and full send the Shadow Ball once again, but we barely hang on there. Just about. We're going to go and fire off the Frenzy Plant. Frenzy Plant will grab the final shield. Now we can come in with our Shadow Electivire, of course. They will just barely outpace us to this next charge move, so we're going to shield. They go for a Shadow Ball once again, so at this point, probably not running Body Slam, so we can overfarm quite a considerable amount. Fire off the Ice Punch. Ice Punch is going to get the KO there. They can't come back in with the Tropius as we do have Ice Punch, so they come in with a Bastiodon, and I think they're probably going to try and catch the next charge move onto their Tropius, and we're actually going to fire off the Wild Charge anyways. I'm not so sure about this. However, Wild Charge will put them into Incinerate farm down range, so that actually ends up being the perfect play, as now we come out with the Blast Burn loaded, and even a Bastiodon does not want to tank a Blast Burn from Shadow Typhlosion. It gets the KO, and we're able to take that game. So into the next battle, we can see a Shadow Drapion in the lead. So of course, again, well, actually a little bit worse for us this time, just because I'm not confident that we can live an Aqua Tail. However, we are going to overfarm quite considerably. The opponent farming up possibly 2 back-to-back Aqua Tails. However, we can go for a Thunder Punch, and the opponent does not throw straight away. So now we're going to swap into our Shadow Venusaur, looking to catch the next Aqua Tail. Although again, unfortunately, it does not work out for us, as the opponent holds onto the energy, fires off the crunch there, but they swap into a Malamar, and they're going to catch a Frenzy Plant, which is not resisted like it is on the Drapion, so we end up grabbing the final shield. We're now going to come back in with Typhlosion, and again, unfortunately, we stutter there, which means we have to over-tap. We don't fire off the charge move straight away. That is super painful to watch. We're also on low battery, so maybe it's not Niantic's fault. Maybe it is just a problem with the phone there. But either way, we're going to swap. The opponent comes in with more Peko, and unfortunately, we're going to lose CMP here. Either that or we are just one turn behind. But either way, the opponent goes for the Aura Will. We barely hang on there. Honestly, I did not expect us to tank that, but now we can fire off the Wild Charge. Wild Charge also does huge damage. They snipe with the Drapion, but we've got a Thunder Punch loaded. We can throw it straight away, and Thunder Punch, of course, gonna get the KO. Can we live 2 Thunder Shocks? We absolutely can. We get the Incinerate farm down, and we're able to take that game.
So that's gonna be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And if you want to take your support even further, you can now become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has already become a channel member. Your support is greatly appreciated. And with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.